Let me tell you something wild. The most durable, most mechanically sound car you will ever own, well, it's being engineered for obsolescence from the second it rolls off the factory floor. And it's not because of the engine or the chassis. Nope. It's because of the code running inside of it. So check this out. According to the very latest market report from S&P Global Mobility, the average age of a vehicle on U.S. roads has just hit a record 12.8 years. I mean, that's a monument to modern mechanical engineering, right? But here's the paradox. The complex digital systems that actually define these vehicles, we're talking their brains, their connectivity, their entire functionality, they operate on a life cycle that's brutally shorter. And this durability paradox, well, it's about to completely redefine what a car is even worth.
This is AutoRead. We code the machines and the markets that move the world.
To really wrap your head around just how big this disconnect is, we've got to look at the hardware first. I mean, the physical vehicle itself has honestly never been better.
Yeah, the analysis from S&P Global Mobility is totally unequivocal on this. People are keeping their vehicles way longer than ever before. Passenger cars are now averaging about 14 years in service. High prices, all kinds of economic pressures, and just sheer build quality are extending the mechanical life of these things. The steel, the aluminum, the rubber, it's all built for the long haul. The silicon, however, that's a different story.
And that right there brings us to the absolute core of the problem. A modern car isn't a machine with some electronics anymore. It's basically a rolling supercomputer that is defined by its software.
The software-defined vehicle, or SDV, that's the industry's new North Star. It promises a car that gets better over time. It evolves and improves through over-the-air updates, just like your smartphone. But this exact architecture introduces a really fatal flaw. What it does is create this fundamental imbalance. It's right here on the slide. One industry analysis puts it really bluntly. We're building these vehicles with an infrastructure life cycle, think 15 plus years, but we're running them on software that has a fashion life cycle of maybe 5 to 7 years. So the hardware is built for endurance, but the software, it's just built for relevance. And as we all know, relevance is fleeting. So, as it's been documented in technical analyses by ETAS, the industry is moving incredibly fast from this old, distributed architecture with hundreds of little individual electronic control units to these centralized, high-performance computers. Now, this makes manufacturing way simpler and it enables really powerful features. But it also creates a single point of digital failure. When that central brain is no longer supported, the entire vehicle's advanced functionality is at risk of just going dark. Now, the promise, and you can see it right here from a Velo executive, it sounds incredible. A car that never gets old. But the reality is that this digital lifeline, it can be severed whenever the manufacturer decides. And that creates something the industry calls a digital cliff. And look, this isn't some theoretical problem for the future. We've already seen exactly what happens when the digital infrastructure your car depends on just vanishes. Remember the 3G network sunset back in 2022? That was the canary in the coal mine. Citing data from Kelley Blue Book, millions of vehicles from pretty much every major brand you can think of relied on that network for their connected services. So when the carriers shut it down to make room for 5G, all those vehicles were just cut off. They literally became digitally orphaned. Features that owners paid good money for, remote start, live traffic updates, automatic crash notifications, even the SOS buttons, they just vanished overnight. I mean, the cars still drove, sure, but their value and their utility were permanently crippled, long before the first sign of rust. Now, this whole move towards these closed ecosystems is sparking a huge legislative backlash all over the world. The right to repair movement is getting serious momentum, with new laws forcing car makers to provide access to diagnostic data, tools, and parts. They're designed to break the manufacturer's monopoly on service by fighting things like parts pairing. That's where software literally locks out an independent mechanic from installing a perfectly good third-party component, forcing you right back to the dealership. This legislation is a direct assault on the manufacturer's digital control. And that battle for control over the service bay, it's no accident. It's actually a necessary first step for the industry's most radical strategic pivot yet, moving away from selling you a car once and toward collecting revenue from you forever. So welcome to the subscription flywheel. The strategy is pretty simple. Lower the initial sticker price by building all the hardware into the car from the factory, and then charge you monthly fees to unlock features as you want them. This creates a perpetual revenue stream for them, and maybe more importantly, an absolutely invaluable feedback loop of user data.
And this isn't some science fiction idea, it is live across the market right now. As compiled by the tech firm Sibros, you've got Tesla's full self-driving, BMW's heated seats, yes really, GM's OnStar, and Porsche's performance features all moving to a subscription. You're not just buying a car anymore, you're buying a platform, and access to its features is sold separately.
Okay, so what's the critical forecast? Where does this collision course between long-life hardware and short-life software actually lead? It leads right here. The industry is being forced to solve this massive contradiction. Can a car really be a 15-year asset if its core features are only supported for 5? This conflict is fundamentally rewriting our entire understanding of value, the future of the used car market, and the very concept of ownership.
The answer to that question is probably going to define the entire auto industry for the next decade. We might see the market split in two. One for consumers who demand open, repairable, long-term assets, and another for users who just prefer the convenience of a constantly updated but ultimately disposable mobility service. Which way it goes will really depend on new laws, consumer pushback, and whether automakers choose to partner up or just keep building their walled gardens.
For data-driven automotive analysis, support our work by subscribing to AutoRead. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next breakdown.